Welcome to our exclusive interview series for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Tonight's interview is with 80s cosplayer Christopher Adam, known for cosplaying as Captain Power, BraveStarr, and Visionaries.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Podcasting After Dark presents Interviews After Dark, although it's daytime here. But Zach and I are joined by international cosplay extraordinaire, one of my absolute favorite cosplayers on Instagram, one of my favorite human beings on Instagram. That's no lie, that's no joke. Serge Christopher is what his handle is, but he goes by Chris. How's it going, Chris, buddy? It's nice to finally meet you in person.
No, it's good. It's going well. It's going well. I would say it's dark here. You know, it's definitely dark here.
1/3 of us is interviewing After Dark right now.
Yeah.
You're
This is
over
the part
in
where
UK,
Corey goes,
right?
wait a minute, the world it revolves, it's round, it's not flat.
It's not flat. What are you talking about? Serge, sorry, Chris, I'm so used to talking to you on Instagram. Chris, you're over in the UK, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
Okay.
in the southeast of England. So yeah, by the sea, you know, country. So yeah, nice place as I mentioned. So really, really cool place. I kind of enjoy it. It's not so busy, but you know, it's got enough things going around. Like I said, growing up here was just amazing because it was a seaside town. We had things like arcades and stuff. And I don't know
Oh,
if you can see,
nice.
this is the other side of me as well as a cosplayer. I was a massive video gamer as well. You know, so Mega Drive thing. That would probably be another like 20-hour podcast, I'm sure. But
Wow.
like,
Yeah,
we'll leave
for
that
sure.
to late. We'll leave that to another time. You know.
Well, Chris, you're wearing a BraveStarr shirt, and guys and gals, if you don't know, obviously go check out the show notes. Go check out Chris's Instagram page, search Christopher. I discovered you because of your, I think it was the BraveStarr one. I probably glossed over that a little bit because I wasn't the biggest BraveStarr fan, but your Captain Power cosplay blew my freaking mind. And I think that's how I started following you through that. And then we started talking. But guys and gals, really quick, I want to rattle off some of the costumes that Chris has. BraveStarr, Spiral Zone, Captain Power, Visionaries, Supernaturals, Zach.
Supernaturals.
Thank you. M.A.S.K, StarCom, Krull, Fortress, the Christopher Lambert movie, Flash Gordon, and Bespin Security Guard. Chris, you are obviously a child of the 80s, right?
That's right. Yeah. So I was born in 1976, and you know, I grew up like I grew up absorbing a lot of the 80s. I mean, I was at that right age, I think, to understand things, and so yeah, you know, a lot of things sunk into my head, and they're just seared. You know, there's not. I mean, it was an amazing time. It was an amazing time. A combination of a lot of things, movies, um, just cartoons, everything all together, and you know, just seeing those for the first time. Yeah, I mean, it was just insane.
Well,
Every cartoon. I think there were very few cartoons that I'd watch or movies that I just would not be excited about. I mean, they were just really good. I mean, to get onto something which is a bit late, I think if I mentioned, but Krull would be an example of it. So I didn't go to the cinema to watch that, and I had no expectation of the movie. And then I watched it on a. We had like a kind of a pay TV style thing, which is called it was through a system called Rediffusion. It's like cable kind of thing. I watched it there. I had no expectation. Absolutely blown away. You know, it just absorbed 100%, and that's what happened with a lot of the things that I was watching. You know, I was just at that right age to really understand it. I think if I was a lot younger, I probably wouldn't have understood it as so much, and wouldn't have hit. It'd be nostalgic, but yeah, I mean,
but
I'm
like,
happy.
you know, you see it. What I think is so amazing about your body of work here, and I think Zach will probably agree. You see like a lot of Star Wars cosplay out there in the world, and obviously you have a Bespin security guard. You see a lot. You see some GI Joe stuff out there, He Man. But holy crap, Visionaries, Spiral freaking Zone, a cartoon that Zach and I both adore, and it is totally obscure, and we know that because we did a panel at LA Comic-Con and we brought up Spiral Zone and no one freaking remembered it. But Chris, you remember it, and on top of it, you made costumes based on it. Who's the Spiral Zone character that you did?
Oh, so that's Overlord. I
Yeah.
think he's called James Ben, actually. So that's his real name in it. But yeah, so one of those with that whole kind of aspect. So I like, part of it is I like building things. I really like building things, and it wasn't. I really did costume build. The start of costume building for me was Halloween. I used to love when I got excited for Halloween because it gave me the opportunity to do something, build things. So, but then it was kind of more traditional, kind of like characters. Like a few years later, I started to go to conventions, and I went with some friends, but they went for like other purposes, and I don't think they got cosplay. But when I saw cosplay, that it just clicked to me that I could do these things, and so the combination of like making and cosplay, and also my love for the 80s, it just went like this, and it came together.
That's so awesome.
But yeah, a lot of the things, I always said to myself, like, it's not, if you can build something, like I wanted to develop my skills so I could build things, but then I wanted to say, well, why should I build the things that have already got a lot of love? I wanted to build things that were based off the things that made me happy when I was younger, and a lot of these things were not common. Were not really common. A lot of people forgot about, and certainly when I was going to conventions, like when I went with my the Visionaries was my first kind of like big costume that I made.
Oh, okay.
When it went as BraveStarr, and I thought to myself, nobody's going to know this character. Nobody's going to know this character. I went to this convention, and the first before I walked into the convention hall, and a guy gave me a hug. He should have really done that, but he kind of did that, and we had this conversation. And it just, that kind of like got the ball. It stopped me being afraid from sort of like doing things that are quite niche. I sometimes there were times like during the sort of like when it was like Halloween, I'd think, nobody's going to know this costume and they're just going to make fun of you, right? But I had like all of that disappeared, and it just went like everything that I kind of experienced, which was quirky, which was like something that I saw when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it. I just had no problem. I took great pleasure in rebuilding it, designing it, modeling it, and building it, and to see it come to life.
Yeah. And that's how you find your people. So my wife, I wear a lot of Wayland Yutani clothing, either be caps and beanies and jackets and stuff. And when you're out and yeah, exactly. And when you're out in the wild and someone recognizes just the logo without even saying Wayland Yutani, that's when you know you found your people. And so when someone recognizes Spiral Zone or Visionaries or Supernaturals, I mean, Zach, these are cartoons that we've discussed multiple times and have such affinity for. It's to see it, like very few people have it, bring it to life. Every time, Chris, every time you post something new on Instagram, like I become that Joe Rogan meme at the fight or whatever. I'm like screaming and cheering and everything. I can't believe it.
I've actually got the helmet. I've actually got the
Let's see
helmet.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go off quickly.
Yeah. No worries. No worries.
The thing about it is it's actually really, I don't think I can get it in view, like, to be honest. It's that big.
Oh my gosh.
It's that big. It's that big. So that's the top of it. And that's the sort of thing. And yeah, so I can actually get this on my head.
That's amazing.
So there you go.
And again, for everybody listening to this, go to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button and the like button, all that good stuff. And you can see what Chris's cosplay is in action. Chris, how long does it take you to make a costume like this?
Right. So yeah, that all depends on it. So as I'm going on at the doing more and more costumes, the time is getting, it's a really thing. It really depends. Sometimes it can be like this costume here actually took about 2 and a bit months, maybe 3 months, but because of work, you see, so I have to split it all in. Realistically, it's probably about, if I were to compress the time in, I was do it full time, it would be about just under a month kind of thing. But because of work and stuff like that, it takes a lot longer. Like the process is, you probably see me on some of my videos. I always do the kind of like making videos.
Right.
I'm not sure whether people see that, but it starts off with me gathering references. And this is a really interesting thing with 80s cartoons, because no two frames are the same. You know, I know, like like, I guess now there's a lot of, the references, and they're probably 3D models that are cell shaded, right? But at the time, you had like a reference drawing, and then the artist had to take the reference drawing and obviously build the rough animations and then flesh it out. And then that would be shared across other artists. And then that might itself be shared across like other animation teams who might even be in different countries, which I think is what a lot of things like Spiral Zone, StarCom, and stuff like that. Sorry,
StarCom. He referenced StarCom, everybody, and if you don't know what StarCom is, I mean, it's a very short-lived cartoon. I literally just watched the couple episodes of it not that long ago. I think it was sponsored by NASA, I think.
Yeah. So I don't even that bit didn't sort of like thing. It was a very short thing. When I was going back over it to get some references, I thought that maybe I missed out a lot of the the whole series, but I'd actually watched all of it.
Yeah,
I'd actually watched all of it.
It's like 15 episodes.
I think I remember this. I remember this bit. There was like really weird bits where there was these the two drones. They somehow crash land on this like moon, and they need to get to a certain point, and they start running. And it was really, I thought it was awesome that they started running, because I didn't, drones, they can't run, but they start running full marathon style, right? And it was just that bit stuck in my head, because I always thought that was really cool. They had like this kind of like effect where it was just from the side, and you had like this weird, like this kind of parallax, and the 80s style, like it looked really cool. And that bit was seared into my head kind of thing. But it was very action-packed. The cartoon was really action-packed, and I really enjoyed it. It was just really good. But I watched, it was really short. I watched all of it. I watched all at the time. So, it was very surprising for me.
And you made a really good point, too, by the way, in researching your cosplay with the original animation from the 80s, which I think younger audiences won't necessarily understand or appreciate, maybe not appreciate as much. These are all hand drawn mostly.
That's right.
So it was an art form then. It's an art form now, but it's a different type of art. But the fact that you are inspired by these iconic characters from a time, Corey and I talk about this a lot. Every decade has innovations, creations, uniqueness, but really the 80s was the only time that I can think of. I feel like that the peak of creativity died in 1989 going into 90. Like it was that the peak, the peak was
there was just a lot of stuff, a lot of different styles of things. Like, for example, Visionaries, really, and even He-Man to an extent, it's like tech and fantasy stuck together. Right. And that's kind of what I saw with Krull as well, because you had these like weird, they're actually aliens. There are aliens in it. They're not actually a thing, but it's a fancy movie, but it's got like the sci-fi vibe and all that mixture. Like it was kind of brave for people to do. When you sometimes okay, now like anybody with like AI, but at the time, to go from a concept and to actually do those things, that was an effort. And like with all the costumes I make, this is another reason for sort of like doing it, because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. The people who made these cartoons, the artists who work creating the props, the original movies, like I just got absolute respect for them. I don't, like you say, I don't think people have an understanding of how much effort it took to make all of that. There was no automation. I have software. I do a lot of my work in modeling software, CAD tools, digital sculpting, that kind of thing. None of that existed. And so, they would have had to have understood everything spatially. They were masters, right? So, like I said, if anything, like I said, it's like it's an homage. I'm standing on their shoulders. Like I'm grateful for what they did. They made
our childhoods.
Exactly.
What's the helmet you have right there? I think it's a StarCom helmet. What character is that?
This is my latest one here. So this is General Torbeck, and I don't know. I'm gonna try to plug this in if it doesn't fall apart, all sort of things. It's got a lot of harnesses. And one of the problems with this is that I actually was going to wear this at the convention, but just the stars did not align on it. If you give seconds, in that like I just couldn't get to it, and there was just too many things going on. But also, it's the whole suit itself is really bulky, and I need assistance to get inside it. I don't know if you realize or recall, Torvek actually has like he's only got like three, kind of two fingers and a thumb.
Yeah.
He's got claws.
Yeah, because he's
And
an
so
alien.
I made the claws as well. But then stupidly, I realized, hang on, I'm going to have to put this on. So the reason why I was able to shoot that video is my nephew came round and he helped me get dressed. He helped me get dressed. So.
A lot of the cosplayers that I follow, they do have assistants helping them out.
Yeah,
you need that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But this one has, I don't know if it works. I hope this, let me just try testing it first of all. But there, I put some electronics in here, which I did myself. So let me see.
God. And while Chris is hooking that up, I want to also mention that his stuff is like museum quality, everybody. Like it looks like it would cost thousands upon thousands of dollars to make. And I could easily see this in a pop culture museum, right, Corey? Like with mannequins and whatnot.
Well, yeah, and we're only seeing Chris's like helmets. Like it's the full costume, and we'll have pictures on here. We'll have links to his Instagram and everything like that, so you can see them. But like, look how good that helmet looks. He has the full costume though. Like he in the Spiral Zone is a full costume. Chris, that is amazing.
You can see that. It's
yes.
like the light. The lights yeah, so it reacts to my voice like the cartoon. The cartoon, it doesn't actually. So they doesn't act. It's not a view meter per se where it goes up on thing. It just it activates on sound. So I try to replicate that. The shadow force will destroy you.
I think we're a little speechless because it's so.
It's our childhood come to life.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, it's one thing to draw a picture and be like, oh, this looks like the character in my thing, or make, you know, take a GI Joe and repurpose it and make it look like your favorite character from a movie or whatever. But it's another thing to make a full on
accurate costume,
cartoon accurate, and move around, be able to move around in that, and the bells and whistles.
That's kind of thing. That is, I'm happy to like to suffer for just to bring it to like life, but yeah, some of the costumes I have, I mean, there's some like Captain Power is super maneuverable, BraveStarr obviously super maneuverable. For some reason, Visionaries is, but I don't quite know why it should be like that. I still don't know. It's quite maneuverable, but there's something like Torvek as well. I mean, if I show you the boots, they raise me off the ground by like a couple of inches.
Yeah, because they have to have the magnet. Yeah, the Magnalocks.
Yeah, I tried to replicate. So I'm actually quite tall in it. It is in person. It's kind of really imposing, and also it's a lot larger than my sort of like body size. So that was the other problem as well, because the chest is so big. I can't actually put my hands together like this. So it's got the robot bolt to it. It's got the robot bolt. It moves. The movement is not me acting. It's just that me trying to move around.
Oh, I see people at like online too, like doing Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine costumes. It's like, really how do you even maneuver that? But like you said, your Captain Power. Well, first off, holy crap. Looks absolutely freaking amazing. But it also looks very, very functional and maneuverable, which I guess is because it was already designed off of a show that was live action anyways.
Yeah.
That looks great. Holy cow.
Yeah, Chris is holding up the Captain Power helmet.
Yeah, so that was, I think, like I mean, again, it was just a really weird like thing, because the show was amazing. Like I couldn't, you know, it's a really, like I said, I think at that time I was probably 12, something like that. So it actually worked for me. The show worked for me. A lot of people would have probably found that a bit too adult, but it worked for me. And I really wish it had been more targeted to that like age group, but it was targeted to obviously a lot younger. It was amazing.
I was 10 when it came out. For me, it was everything.
Yeah. It's like, you know, this is the thing. So that also was one of the few times like CG. You knew when CG was employed, and it wasn't super complex, but I mean, it looked amazing. you know, you could never, you knew the difference with CG, because obviously the pans and the rotations, you know, the way the characters move, obviously they will look simplified, but it looked amazing. And for me, that hasn't really aged. I think it still looks amazing. And also, you know, to do that kind of CG at the time, it wasn't a case where they had like loads of, the software was that advanced. It was really difficult to use. I mean, a lot of the people that worked on these like TV shows would have probably been from mathematics backgrounds. You know, that would be
Right.
the kind of people that worked on them. It was just yeah. I mean, I was just, you know, I saw it for what it was. It was just absolutely amazing. But yeah, it didn't do well. I did think that there was the actual fan base of this was really small. But it wasn't. You know, I was shocked by that, because I found the group on Facebook, and I just couldn't believe how many people
that group
remember or let alone
Oh,
you
Chris,
know,
can you put it on, Chris? Can I see Captain
Oh,
Power?
it's actually quite.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit sort of like fragile. Unfortunately,
I get it. Does did the guy who played Captain Power?
Let me try, because it is literally like. Unfortunately, this needs some maintenance. Yeah.
Please don't break it. It looks amazing.
No, it's one of those things that I just pulled out of storage today, and it needs a bit of tidying up inside. And so
I know that the actor who plays Captain Power, played him, is very active in the fan groups and everything. Has he seen your costume?
I think, yeah, because he did make a comment on Facebook about it, which is really nice, and I've never had anything like that at all. And I don't know whether it went off, but there was a guy who I made another, because I've actually made this helmet for another person, or a raw version of it.
Oh.
And he took it and had it chromed out in the same way that the original helmet was, using the same technique. So it absolutely looks amazing. Wow. And he has that for his collection. I'll try to. I mean, he was on the Captain Power Facebook group, but he has original armor parts, I think, from the film. So he used my helmet to finish it off.
Okay,
that's what I think he wanted it for.
Chris, I have a feeling that I know the answer to this, but growing up as a kid, I didn't really know the term for it. But I always liked my characters to be armored. I like, you know, Boba Fett. I like Colonial Marine armor. I like Starship Trooper armor. So I refer to myself as an armor file. I feel like you have the same sensibilities. A lot of your characters are very armored up that you play as.
And that's the whole thing was.
Do you love armor?
Yeah. So the whole thing, it is the armor, mecha robots. That was what I was into when I was younger. You know, so actually, you know, like I was mentioning about the kind of the paid channels we had. Because of that, I was able to see cartoons like Robotech.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's where I also saw Transformers the movie for the first time. But Transformers was aired here, but I'm pretty yeah. I mean, the movie was something I watched on that channel. But Robotech, I remember watching Robotech and just like I love robots. I love machines. You know, like every kid, I think. Well, I say every kid. Everybody wanted to be Cyborg. I knew anyway. Like we wanted, not now though. Not now. Not now. Absolutely not. I understand the whole like OCP being owned kind of thing.
Yep.
I understand that now.
As a kid, though,
I was about to sell my entire self for like like binocular vision or something. But yeah, not now. Yeah, there's funny how that changes. Like we, with all the stuff that these characters represent, and seeing what happens and seeing things at the moment, like with those, it's cool. No, it's not cool. It's not cool at all.
Let me ask you though, Chris. So you on your Instagram page, you do have videos that show the process of how you make your outfits, but for those that don't know, like Visionaries and Supernaturals. I have to say that every time because I don't know if you're familiar, Chris, but when I recorded myself as a kid playing with my Supernaturals, reading one of the comic books and recreating like a scene and doing all these sound effects and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyways,
It's become like an inside joke on the show. That
It's an
Zach
inside
has
joke,
to,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but both used holograms or like the venticular kind of, right? How did you create that for those that haven't seen it on your page? How did
Oh
you
yeah,
create
I
that?
mean, unfortunately, I don't have a thing. So the actual shield thing, I actually gave away at a convention because there was a Supernaturals. There was a guy. He does 80s comics and cartoons. He's a comic book artist, and I gave it to him, and he's quite happy about that. But the whole the Visionaries, I think they use lenticular images, and what that is that depending on the angle that you view the image, you'll see effectively a different image. And so the holograms that we had on the toys are true holograms. I don't have the capability to make anything like that. And so the process that I use is I will create like an animation. So it's really an optical trick. And what's happening is that you basically you create your frames of animation and then you interlace them. I use a program called Grape, and that basically combines them into slices. And each slice, and what happens, you have to have this thing called a lens. The lens is not something I make. The lens is something I bought because it has to be manufactured. It's impossible. It's like it cannot be like homemade. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's really a difficult technique. But the whole like making the image and interlacing and printing it out and constructing it, that's something I do. This lens goes over it, and depending on the angle that you look at the image through the lens, you'll see a slice of image. What it does is it fools your eyes into thinking that there's, you're seeing one frame of the animation depending on the edit. So it looks like I got a video of the supernatural skull one, and then you can kind of like see it where it transitions, and it's just the angle. Depending on the angle of where the light hits your eyes, you'll see that particular image at that point. And it's actually it's more of an optical trick, but the things on the toys are actually true holograms, and that's something that's still quite hard. It's very interesting. I think I heard recently that Super 7 were going to do a Visionaries, and they mentioned that they were going to have holograms. So I'm very interested in who they've got to do that, because it's not going to be easy. It was all based on, as far as I can tell, a lot of it was based on photographic process, which is not really. It's quite. There's only a few places that do that now. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Again, if your guys are listening to this, go to our YouTube and watch it. Both Corey and I, our eyes like started to cross because we're like, this is, science is magic is science and science is magic, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like truly, you show a kid something about science and they think it's magic because it is, but it's real magic.
It's magic that's real.
Right. What you're doing to me, and I think I can speak for Corey too, is really magic. Like Corey and I both have made outfits before. We've made costumes, we've dressed up as things or whatnot.
But not to that extent.
Not to the extent. Like I know how hard it is just to simply use a glue gun with fabric. What you're doing is true craftsmanship. I have to ask you, so do you have like a math background or like an architecture background?
Here's the interesting. So my background, I was a software developer engineer for like 23 years. My kind of university degree was like computer science and AI. But in the like this year I'm going to be 50, and it wasn't something that was I was falling out of love with it, and I really wanted to do something that was a bit different. So at the moment I'm a support worker. I do that. So I help people that come out of hospital to with you kind of like help them to get back to independence, that kind of thing.
Cool.
But yeah, I did that for a long time, so I was very passionate, and I still am. It's just that it's a different type of job at the moment. When I started, we had to learn a lot of that stuff ourselves. There was no AI about. You had to read a book, you had to learn, you had to put hours in to do all this kind of stuff.
You had to read.
The whole stuff with graphics though, that was just always a passion project of mine. I just learned. I started with graphics on the Commodore Amiga.
Wow. You're authentic. You are true 1976.
So it is. I always wanted a computer when I was really young. Like I grew up when I was growing up when I was under 10, there was like the Commodore 64, Sinclair Spectrum. There was something called the Dragon 32 here as well. But I just, my mum wouldn't get it. It was very expensive, and they thought I was too young. They didn't realize I was really into it.
Like, this kid's gonna be something someday.
Yeah. 12, when I was 12, my parents like just bought me an Amiga, and I was in shock. I almost passed out, right? And I remember the name of the pack was called the Flight of Fantasy pack, and it came with Rainbow Islands, F-29 Retaliator, which was a flight sim, Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters, and a paint package called Dulux Paints, which was made by EA, Electronic Arts.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I started playing around with all of this stuff. Like, I started there, but then, you know, I'd get the Amiga format magazines, and I was like, what's it? And it was all like all the stuff tying together, seeing the CG things, and looking in this magazine, saying, oh, they use like, can the Amiga do this kind of graphics as well? And I started reading up, but I think it wasn't until the 1200 that I remember looking at it. I got some software, like
I didn't hear that.
But everybody did it. Like, you
Corey?
couldn't, honestly. It was terrible. Like, in the playground, there was always a guy with discs in his blazer. I tell you what, blazer. Like, it'd have like everything. It'd have everything, and it'd lend it to you, and
that was in the cartoon Recess, Disney's Recess. There was a kid called named Hustler Kid. Hustler Kid always had merch. Contraband.
Yeah, he literally had this, and we just like he'd give it to you. And I remember the guy gave it for £1. He'd give you the disc, and then you copied it, and then you gave it back to him. That's what you did.
Oh, there's a trust issues
there was a program called X-Copy, and we just copied it. But I tried. I just tried it. I tried the software then, but I couldn't quite grasp it. It was so complex. Like, the UI was just, it was just so rudimentary. You really needed to be like a university student. I wasn't at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I was still learning everything. But then later on, I got the another version of the Amiga called the 1200, and they actually gave away a program called Imagine 3D. And I remember, like, I started, because it wasn't a case now, like, you know, when people do 3D graphics, and I basically did a little poster for a friend, but I made all the fonts myself by plotting each individual vertex, creating faces and extruding them. So I got my first little experience. It was very rudimentary, but it was a first experience, and I just carried that on. So it was a mixture of those things. When I got to the PC, there was some other bits of software that I played around with. The one that I had a bit of success was Lightwave 3D. So I got like a special copy of that, and it was it wasn't like I was being commercial or doing anything with it.
We won't tell the FBI.
They
won't do anything anyway.
Who cares? Who cares?
Past the statute of limitations.
I'll be doing time later. No,
no, it's okay.
After this interview, should never have done that interview.
Back in 1984.
And so all this leads up to you now. You know, it's all a progression.
Yeah.
To you being able to do like you're doing these 3D printings and sculptings in 3D and everything, and it's essentially this is a culmination of your lifelong adventure.
Exactly. You can't. This is why I say to you, a lot of people sometimes get frustrated, and they say, well, you know, I just want to be able to do it quickly. So their go-to answers, you know, like I said, AI now, which is not really a cool idea. Like, I've always been fascinated because of my background about the underlying mechanism and how it's, you know, how it could be a mirror for the brain. But it is like, so we don't understand. There's lots. We'll be peeling that onion for years. Like, people will be peeling that onion for years. We don't know really. But nevertheless, it's an interesting technology. But unfortunately, like, what I feel with this is it's developed for investors. It's not developed for people. It's not developed for artists. You know, and that's another reason why I kind of like started to distance myself. I didn't kind of feel happy anymore in the software development, because it was all about that, just rattling on, burning yourself out for investors, and that's not really my thing anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's always like, I always say to people, even if you do something simple or small, I mean, that's something you've learned something. You can always build on that, and eventually it becomes something really big. Like the whole thing, you know, the Bespin Guard costume, that was an interesting costume for me. I know we'll sort of talk about this a bit later, but like, it was the first time I did some sewing. I say sewing, but sewing with a machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sewing with
because
the
it's
machine.
not it's one of your few non-armor centric ones. Your Flash Gordon is kind of not armory either. But yeah, the Bespin security guard is all fabric pretty much.
Yeah, it's fabric. It's fabric, exactly. And I got it was really nice because I was helped out by a small business they have a shop in Bexhill and in Hastings called Jacob's Haberdashery, and they taught me, like, I bought the machine off them and they taught me how to do some basics, how to set it up, how to go, and I just went from there.
You're a true DIY guy, man.
You have to,
Yeah,
like,
it's so cool.
that's the way. That's just the way, kind of thing. So I really like. I mean, I just it's again. I'm not like I'm. There's so much I've got to learn about it, but it's opened up another area that I can kind of like do, because it's all part of costume making. If you look at some of the like there are people who do the real competitors out there, and all their costumes they're multi-material, bits of leather,
Right,
leather work, bits of sometimes metal work, 3D printing. There are people out there that make their own shoes. That's frightening, but it's all of it together. All of it together.
I follow one guy who makes, like, one of the things he does is makes the shoes for Boba Fett cosplayers, like Boba Fett shoes,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, yours ranges from the Bespin security guard being, all pretty much mostly fabric, to your Fortress security guard. And again, this is Fortress, the Christopher Lambert movie that, again, this is why, Chris, we know you're our people, because not too many people know that movie, and Zach and I both love it. Stuart Gordon film. Yep.
Yeah.
But that one is just as extensive as your Visionaries and your StarCom, but like it's got so many pieces to it. It's much more armor centric and everything. But I do want to say, Chris, like, or let me ask you, because like I said, I wasn't the biggest BraveStarr kid growing up, but when I see your pictures of your BraveStarr cosplay, you're definitely invoking the character as well. So it's not just about wearing the costume. You also have to be the character. And do you feel it? Do you feel that the character come through?
Yeah, there is, and that's one of the few. So, like, weirdly, I don't know why I like there's Captain Power and thing. I just feel something from it, even though, like, for the Captain Power, it's like, obviously I'm not like him, the actual Captain Power, but for BraveStarr, when I was growing up, there weren't many like hero characters with my skin color, like, or dark skin. So when I saw BraveStarr, of course I switched on. I said, wow, that was a thing. There wasn't really anything like that. And I just gravitated toward that. But it was a great cartoon, and I loved that space and the cowboys and everything, and together it was just really good. And like, it's a very sentimental cartoon as well for me because of that. Like, I remember, like, my dad and stuff. And actually, I said I bought this out before this, the Neutralizer, which I sort of made this. So my dad passed away in 2021, and this was the last thing that he kind of saw me make. So it's actually a really thing, but it's a big it's a big sort of like I'm a bit, it's like I've always wanted. I remember seeing the toy, and I thought the toy was kind of really, really cool, but it was just really expensive, and I always wanted one. Like, and yeah, I mean, I remember, like, this. So this is again, it's like, it's different. It is 3D printed, but there's two kinds of 3D printing here. There's the FDM stuff, which is the plastic, but there's also, this was the first time I used resin printing, and that kind of yields much sharper imagery. It's like, it's shots, not imagery. Sorry, it's just sharper in its output.
Yeah,
and much more precise than the actual FDM stuff. But like stuff like here, where you have the I don't know what you call it, just the detailing here. But that was kind of like just a lot easier to do with resin printing. So yeah, it was a really, I mean, like, this thing would be really kind of hard doing on a standard FDM printer, because the nozzle is usually, my nozzles are set to, like, I use a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and that would be still too thick to do something like this, whereas the resin printer can kind of achieve these really sharp, like, details. So that was a thing for me, and it was just, it's really, I really did enjoy kind of like making that. But yeah, I've got that. I got the hat. BraveStarr is my favorite because of this.
Oh,
So
that is awesome.
I've got to wear that.
Zach, I know you were a big Braves. I think for me, I wasn't a big Western fan growing up as a kid. But I see it now and I'm like, damn, that was cool. I wish I watched it more. But Zach, I know you were a big BraveStarr
I
fan.
saw the movie in the theater, the BraveStarr
Wow.
movie, when it came out, because it originally was a pilot and they released it in the theater. I remember seeing it as a kid and recorded myself playing with my BraveStarr toys and 30
Yeah,
30
see
and all
that
that good
I
stuff.
always wanted that. I never got that. See, I think
Sorry, I'll trade you.
yeah. It's just I never got that. I never got because it was Christmas that we sort of like we had like this one choice where and it's really weird because we all got really nice toys, but it was just that Christmas where on Christmas we could all choose and there were like themes and like BraveStarr was definitely there and running, but I just didn't choose it. I just didn't choose it, and I think it was the robot thing. The robot thing still picks the human characters, even though I was just like I gravitated towards stars. It was like I'd never seen a character like that before. It had a lot of like thing for me. So
I think so too. I think as a kid, I recognized that there wasn't a lot of representation outside of, Anglo white men, primarily. And so when BraveStarr came out and you're like, whoa, this guy looks cool, and then
yeah,
pretty much everybody in that show outside of BraveStarr and then the female like deputy or whatever, I forget her name, but
I don't know.
you know the name?
Jesse.
Yeah, I
I
think
got
so. Yeah. You
I,
had a mixture of characters, but like it's and I still feel like it's more of a niche cartoon. Not everybody
yeah,
gets BraveStarr, but then you realize, oh, this is really cool. And it was towards the end. Well, not towards the end, but like Filmation was starting to slow down a little bit as far
yeah,
as what they were putting
Yeah, it
out.
was a Filmation cartoon, right, Zach?
Yeah, and they it was heavily promoted as like the next He-Man kind of thing. It obviously didn't take off to that extent, but it still lives to this day. I believe, and it could be an AI image, hopefully it's not, but I believe G.I. Joe is going to be doing a BraveStarr inspired figure down the road.
yeah.
It was actually a different character. People were hoping it was going to be BraveStarr, but it's not BraveStarr per se. Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
okay.
I
Well,
saw that. I was like, oh darn.
a
I've got
child
a
like us can
ramen.
still dream.
Yeah, I got a ramen toy. So ramen toys, they're like kind of like
Yes.
Yes.
I got that version of
Okay.
BraveStarr. So I thought that looked really cool and kind of. They're actually doing the horse so 2020. I said
30-30.
30 thing. 2020 is a drink. I beg. The Freudian slip there.
2020 was a
Yeah,
Chris is ready to party.
it's a thing. So 30. I'm so tired. That's it now.
it's okay, it's
But
all good.
yeah, it's yeah. I feel really bad. Do you know that? Do you know that's like a thing? So just to go that but I always get that confused because there was a drink in the UK when I first started going out, which was called 2020, and it was just horrible. It was just sugar, alcohol. It was just, and that's that's probably what it makes.
Will be your vision for tonight,
Yeah.
Well,
2020.
speaking of,
Yeah.
of ramen toys, they put out Centurions, figures as well, or Centurion. I don't think they're called Centurion, whatever. You know how ramen does it. They don't call it the right name.
Yeah.
Chris, are we gonna see it? Do we have any Centurions in the future?
Oh, no, I have. I've got. So I started modeling some of that. I do have. That's one thing. I sometimes model a lot of things, but I don't necessarily make them. And I think so. At the time that I was doing, before I was choosing to do Torbeck, it was going to be what's his name? Jake. Is
The
it Jake?
Jake
The yellow.
Rockwell.
Yeah,
Jake Rockwell. Jake Rockwell. I was gonna
he's
do
the
Jake
land
Rockwell.
one, right? He's the one,
Land one,
the
yeah,
yellow
he's
one.
the land.
Yeah,
Because
that's the one I had.
just
Yeah.
felt it would be too weird to walk around, even though I kind of like the Tom Selleck, the guy, the water guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
so
cool.
I think I'd feel a bit weird going around some convention wearing like, well, I don't know, like
Big
aqua
mustache.
yeah, and a mustache as well, I think. But I liked his character more, but like it just felt. So I started doing that, and I think I don't know why. I just changed my mind at the last moment and started working on Torbeck. And I finished Torbeck, and I thought, so I just got tired. When I actually why I stopped with him because I realized like I wanted to do some costumes where I didn't need that much assistance, and I definitely think with the Centurions just getting it on, I would probably need the assistance. And so that's actually scared me a little bit. There's another costume that I was working on, which was going to be because I was going to turn 50. I don't know if there was a like a puppet show in the UK. It was like it was really early on. I think it might be 70s, late 70s, but it was definitely aired in the 80s for us. It was called Starfleet.
Yeah.
And it had a robot called Die-X in it with a ship called the X-Bomber. So I wanted to do that costume.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to do that costume. That's scared now. Just not being able to get into Torbeck by myself has scared me. And also the space of it. The space of it is, it would have been much more than Torbeck. I mean, I that's going to need to go in the shed.
So you learned a lot from Torvek, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? But your wish list is still fairly extensive. Chris, I do want to talk about M.A.S.K because first off, the best theme song from the 80s. That's my favorite one.
Want me to bring over one of the helmets?
Please, buddy, please
I'm
do.
going to, again, this is like really really sort of thing. It's like it takes the entire view.
Yeah. Holy macaroni!
So you give an idea of like the size of it.
That is phenomenal.
Golly, it's our Zach. It's our childhood come to life, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it's just you like audio wouldn't do it justice. You have to go to our YouTube and check it out. It's really phenomenal.
Yeah, so that's kind of thing. And
Wow.
I've also got Sly Racks here, and I recently made. Let me just get back to the screen. I recently made Powerhouse, which was, I don't really do commissions, but somebody who had been following me for a while. I kind of like built up a little bit of trust, and I thought, yeah, I'll do it, because I've done things in the past and they just haven't worked out. It's a lot of, like I said, I mean, there is a lot of time involved in making these things, because like I said, you have to model, you have to do everything, and also you have to slice it in with life, right? And so I built Powerhouse for him. So I made 3 masks in total, but I've also got models for some of the other mask characters. I've got a Brad Turner Hocus Pocus, which I was working on. I haven't quite finished that one yet. And also there was an Alex Sector Jack Rabbit mask. And I did finish that, but I just didn't get around to building it, as in fabricating it. Again, like I said, that's just not my kind of character per se, but I was thinking, like I said, maybe I'll make it for somebody who's kind of like interested when I have the time. But yeah, I mean, yeah, M.A.S.K isn't a, like I mean, it was adventure and cool vehicles, and like that's another Christmas for me, because so like all our Christmases, like I remember, like our Christmases had themes. I got 2 other brothers, and we'd all get the same sort of toys, so we could all play together. They'd get one like vehicle and a set of figures. I'd get some, and then we'd all share and play together anyway.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so there's none of this sort of thing. Like
I was an only child. I got all my own toys.
But yeah, it was great, because we got like I said, completely different things. So one year it was really, so one of my best years was Transformers, but I actually didn't get Transformers because when I went to I was a big fan of Voltron, and I went to the shop, and built up in the shop was Vehicle Voltron. I almost passed away. It was just, I couldn't believe it was. There was like Lion Force Voltron, and then there was Vehicle Voltron. Bigger was better.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Right there. So bigger was better. Like I saw this robot, and right next to him, which was another toy that I wanted. It's a weird thing about G.I. Joe. Like we had a toy line called Action Force here.
Yeah.
And Action Force, there was so there's Action Man, Action Force, and I was so confused in how it became like the G.I. Joe sort of thing. I just didn't kind of understand it. Although I did get the Sky Striker later on for one Christmas, but it just didn't attach to me as much as like when I see some of the like American sort of like toy collectors, and how they're G.I. Joe's everything. That I just didn't get that. I was just lost in a bit of a confused world. Like, what happened? They were this big, and now they're this big. And the guy was flying around in this giant robo skull, and now he's got like a tank. I didn't quite understand like toy. There wasn't really like that at the time. The Action Force didn't also have a cartoon. There were comics, I think, but not cartoons. And I wasn't a comic book guy. I've never really been a comic book guy.
I was going to ask you too if you're familiar with Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea.
Yes, I am. Yeah. That was a French cartoon, French sort of thing. So we had like Ulysses, Mysterious Cities of Gold, Yeah, Spartacus. I think again the Spartacus one may have been on like like the early version of Sky Channel, which I think was
Okay.
just a paid. It might have been on that. I don't know if it was on like terrestrial TV, but I do remember it, and I remember the weird ship, and I remember the name. I was like Arcana was the
Yeah. Yeah.
thing, and and the two. Is it Flick and Flack or something
Yeah,
like that?
Flick and Flack, I think.
Yeah,
Arcadia was
yeah.
the sun or whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And it's a really cool concept. And I really think like I don't know why I always thought that Luc Besson would do a film of it.
I
You
heard a
know,
rumor
it'd
that
be
at one point he was considering it, but obviously it didn't happen.
yeah, it'd be right up the street, right? It's very Fifth Element,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. I would have really that'd have been really cool. I did enjoy also Ulysses 31 and Jason
Ulysses is great.
that the soundtrack to that, you know,
That
the
theme song is
soundtrack.
disco personified, like 80s disco. It's
Oh,
so
what
good.
about
It
Galaxy
is
Rangers? That theme song is amazing too.
Galaxy Rangers, yeah. I mean, I said Galaxy Rangers, and
Great
I
cartoon.
so yeah, they're great, really good cartoons. I watched them. Like, see, I think yeah, they are really good, but I just for some reason it didn't. I don't know. It didn't quite attach. I think like I was maybe getting a bit older, so
Yeah. Yeah.
like I was. I say I temporarily was aging out of toys and the cartoons and looking for something a bit darker, or, you know, because you're going
Yeah.
to video game. Hence all the video games. Like, you know,
Yeah.
there was one point where I got my Mega Drive and that was it. You know, that was it.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was it. Like I said, that was another slice which I actually haven't kind of dedicated to costumes. I think there's lots of video game characters I'd like to do, but I haven't done that yet. Yeah, I mean those to go back to like those kind of like Galaxy Rangers, and there's Silverhawks as well. There's another one I think about.
Yeah.
Liked them, watched them, but yeah, they are great, but it's just like not I don't know, say 100% thing. Like, you know, like if I think of it, it's just that there's those things like Visionaries, BraveStarr. They all they I know they took too much of my CPU time.
Oh, but what you've created through your childhood is phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I mean it's like I said, you are absolutely no hyperbole, my favorite cosplayer that I follow on Instagram. And you're it also the fact that we talk and you're a great human being as well is amazing. And I think every time you put a new costume out, the first person I send it to is Zach. I know I sent you the Supernaturals one. I was like,
Oh
holy
yeah.
shit, look at this, my God, you know, and it's like, holy crap. As we're wrapping things up, Chris, can you give it can you give us a hint as what you're working on next, or like what's going to
I'm
be your
working on
next
quite a
reveal?
few things. So yeah, there's quite a few
Okay.
things. I was going to say before it sort of thing, I did actually take out the Fortress gun. I actually unpacked that thing.
Yes,
If you want to
please.
see it,
Show
just
us
before I
anything, buddy.
yeah,
Oh,
there's just
Fortress. My God.
it's a problem. The problem with this thing again is the absolute size of it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so
Again, Stuart Gordon's Fortress. Guys and gals, go out and rewatch it if you haven't seen it in a while. Zach and I will probably cover Stuart Gordon on our tour de force tier one of these days. Holy moly, it
look, I
goes
mean,
in
I
his
can't
arm.
really get into like photos and everything,
It's
but
such a
yeah,
cool, it's amazing what he's showing us on screen right now. It's so
Yeah.
so
cool.
that's kind of like it. And it actually weighs quite a bit. You know, this well, I say weighs. It's not so bad. But the thing is, when you're wearing this as a costume, like 6 hours in a
Yeah,
convention,
hours.
you
Yeah.
you feel it. You feel it. You need to put it down afterwards. But I'm gonna try and take it off. Like
It's
Yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah. Chris is in shape, by the way. If you guys are just listening to this, Chris is in shape. So and you have to be to do stuff like this and walk around with stuff like this.
yeah, that's the whole kind of thing. So
Wow.
one thing is with this, in a couple of in a I think pretty soon, maybe a couple more than a couple, maybe at the end of the month or just after that, Christopher Lambert will be at the convention, and I'm going to go as a strike clone.
Oh man.
I'm going to go as a
Wow.
strike clone.
Let us know
I'm
how
gonna
that goes.
yeah. So that's the kind of thing. But yeah, this is
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
I mean, and the helmet looks
It's really
amazing.
big. Like I said, I can't. I tried to like. There's a whole like like the I forget what do you call this thing for the bullets
Yeah,
that goes over
the
the whole
magazine rack or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah, and while Chris is getting this stuff, I'll be having pictures of the cosplay of his costume up and everything. So again, like Zach said, please go check out the YouTube video of this. Are you gonna get? Would you get it signed? Would you get your costume signed then by him?
I don't know if yeah, I mean, if he, I haven't actually thought about that. What I really want to, because I don't know if anybody's gone to see him as a strike clone.
Yeah.
Like it's always hard because I went to, I took a picture with Brian Blessed as a Imperial Guard.
Oh, cool.
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he tried to run away from me at first. You know? Like, well, I say run away, he couldn't really move very far.
Gordon's alive.
I don't know. I think he gets scared sometimes of fans who take it a bit too far or something like this.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that aspect, but yeah, I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping at least, you know, he kind of like, yeah, he finds it interesting, or he's kind of, I don't know what to sort of think of it, but certainly for me, that was another movie where, like, I remember seeing, I can't, if it was on a magazine cover where they had the picture of like him holding the gun, there's like two strike planes next to him. I was sold. I needed to watch it. Like I think again, it was on the pay channel. I remember it coming on, and it was just, yeah, it was just, I was, you know, I had no, apart from that image, there was no other expectation, and it turned out to be like, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it there. But later on, when I watched it, I bought the DVD of it. Don't think I got the Blu-ray actually, but I bought the DVD of it, and it's kind of like really interesting to see. Just yeah, it's just it's a really, like, I think all cyberpunk is almost like an omen.
Unfortunately,
Zach and I have an ongoing discussion about how, you know, for some reason, cautionary tales somehow turn into roadmaps, and that's the scary thing.
Well,
you know,
the manifestation.
We didn't listen to
yeah,
him.
man.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. What helmet do you have there?
This is the Visionaries Crave.
Yeah, I knew it. Oh my god.
So this is actually one of my this is actually a second print, because the original version I did with this got damaged. But obviously, being a digital file, I was able to really remake it within no time. Obviously, didn't have to do that, and also scale it properly. But yeah, you know, again, like that, Visionaries and BraveStarr hold the #1 spot.
Okay.
Well, Visionaries was ahead of its time too, you know, and it's short-lived.
Again, like I said, it's just, yeah, I just still think, but this one I can put on, but like I just don't have the beard. The beard, there's a beard element with it.
Yeah, you gotta. Do you put on a fake beard,
really
or
cool,
do you grow your beard out?
Yeah, it is a fake beard. It's a fake beard.
Okay.
It's a fake beard. I can grow a beard, but I just don't like the maintenance.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the
phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah, his weapon, which is modeled off the toy, really. But like, yeah, I mean,
Chris, I'm just gonna put you on my shelf, man. You're gonna just, you're just a living toy. It's amazing. Good lord.
That was another one. This is one of my favorite costumes. I do, like I said, I do. Obviously, I like all of them, because you know you have to like them in order to make them. But
of course, yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things where I wasn't expecting. It was the first time that I wore a costume. Didn't think that anybody could, and the horrible thing, I think, at the convention, I think a lot of people turned around and looked, and obviously they were wearing very contemporary costumes, and they're like, what is that? They were actually visually attracted to it, which is really interesting. And that's another thing as well. So at some conventions, it's not just like, usually it's the parents of the kids that are going to the convention and go, you know, I remember that. But you know, quite a few kids were like really interested in the character, just visually interested in the character, which is interesting. I always thought, like, you know, that, you know,
that's what drew us. That's what drew us as kids. I mean, at the very bottom line of everything that we watched back in the day, I think the very first point of you breaking through is, how does it look visually, and how does that like work for you? Like, that's always the base component. So like your Visionaries costume, like that character design is still cool, no matter when the hell, what year it is.
Which is what, still... that's exactly the thing. So that's what makes me it makes me so happy when I do the modeling, because like I said, I mean, I'm standing on the shoulders of like giants. These people who had the, like, just to come out with that.
Yeah, they designed it. Yeah.
You know, like it can't be underplayed in any way. It's absolutely. I mean, I don't know what their influence. They must have obviously had influences, but yeah, I mean, it was just they're insane creations. I mean, like, just like I said, the design is phenomenal, and I'm happy to. I'm excited when when I'm modeling, it usually starts off as a basic form, but once I see it come together, like I start making these little like like when you're modeling something, you kind of like you start to get an appreciation of what the design, like what was going through their minds. Like when I remember, like I was modeling Kravex's helmet, and I thought, he's got these, like, just to bring out, it's got these ridges, and it's not apparent it wasn't apparent to me in the cartoon or the toy, but it should have been. But like he has the kind of phyllox, which is this like, it's like a pterodactyl, but it's got like claws in it. And I realized that's what he's supposed to have on his helmet. They're actually claws. So they've incorporated that. Although maybe the toy, they couldn't achieve that kind of like thing. I think that's what they were trying to go for. Same with M.A.S.K. When they try to incorporate like for example, Cliff Dagger, he's a bulky guy, and he looks like what's that guy? The get his name, the X-Men guy. He's got the bulk,
Colossus, right? Or no, Juggernaut.
Juggernaut, exactly. It's got that kind of like aesthetic going for him, which is really, really cool. So they've kind of like brought all that stuff together. Not like I said, direct copy, but it's got that. You can just look at it and go, yeah, this guy is going to be strong. He's going to have this kind of thing.
There's like that visual language, that visual language. Like I know. Yeah, and you just inherently know that Juggernaut looks like this. That guy's going to look like this. They're going to have, similar things. But then on top of it, Chris, last question I got to ask you, because we all grew up in the 80s, and we've already talked about holograms. There's glow in the dark, there's slime, there's color changing. What is your favorite toy gimmick from the 80s?
It's got to be holograms. It is holograms.
Okay.
It is holograms. And it still is. Like, that is, like, I think, I'm not going to say no to sort of thing. If I get a chance to get like a small scale kit or something to do it, because you need like chemicals and stuff. I'd really like to make a real hologram, a true hologram, meaning you'd have to use like lasers, and you'd have to calibrate it so you can create this like a sort of like image. It's a process. I'd really like to sort of like do that. Is there another gimmick? I think other gimmicks are like, because I feel that I could do them maybe. If there is a type of costume that I'd really like to kind of more get into in terms of like thing, it'd be more creature work. So the suit stuff, building the latex sort of suits. That's something that although like I got away with it with Krull, because they're kind of like a creature, it's this carapace. I could kind of make the armor. I made the armor 3D printed, and then it was an undersuit. To make a full creature suit would be another dream of mine, because that's a workspace type thing. You're the one thing that 3D printer's done is compressed like a workshop into a cube. So I'm able to do this in such a small space and that's kind of helped me because space is kind of limited.
Zach and I both live in apartments, and yep.
You know the feeling.
Yeah, totally know the feeling.
It's like I said, this all goes back into storage afterwards. I could not possibly have this out. I mean, it's almost like it's like Tetris in the way that I have to put them in the box. There is an order for me to put this arm cannon in this box so that I can fit the armor and everything on top of it, and otherwise it's just impossible.
Oh man. Well, Chris, I'm glad thank you for taking it all out of storage really for us. This is, and I told you offline, man, I've been wanting to have you on the show for a long time now, and I'm glad we finally had a chance to talk and meet in virtual person and everything. Guys and gals, go check out Chris's Instagram page, Surge Christopher. I'm not on Facebook, but Chris, send me a Facebook link if you have one as well, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. But go check him out. He's a great dude, and he's got awesome costumes. And if you're watching, this on YouTube, then then you've seen them. Holy cow. But Chris, thank you so much, man. I know it's late over there for you, but thanks for coming on, man.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
It's really special. It's really, really cool. Thank you for sharing everything with us.
Yeah.
No problems. It's really good. Yeah, it's really nice to talk, and it's all meet you like virtually anyway.
We're all part of the 80s Kids Unite family. So.
80s kids, exactly.
Yeah, maybe we can figure out time to come on.
I don't know if you think if I actually answer the question of what I'm building.
No, I didn't know if you wanted to slyly move past.
No, it wasn't. No, it's literally I'm just the problem with all the 80s stuff, it's just too much. And but yeah, there's so I've got so some of the modeling I've done already for the Wraith.
Oh,
That's my movie. That's my movie right there.
We recovered
it's
that.
And I kind of, like I said, I'm not sure whether I'll get that one done like sort of like soonish. It might be this year and it might be next. I will sort of like do it at some point, but I've got this the helmet and stuff model, and I think it's totally achievable. But it's a very interesting character because if you look at the suit, it's actually quite detailed and quite interesting.
Oh yeah.
But it's the silhouette that we always see in the movie.
Yeah,
it's that weird, and that really gets kind of, people always assume it's like a racing helmet. I mean, it might have been in its core, but the outside isn't. If you look at it, it's a really interesting shape. But yeah, that and so that's another thing. And when you start modeling, you start really seeing all this sort of like stuff. And yeah, so that's something I'm working on. There was also another thing that I kind of like paused because I was just not kind of feeling it. But I built about a few components of it already. So like the helmet and something. So recently I found a calculator online, and it was to do with this calculator. And the calculator is like a Casio, I think FX250. It's from the 90s, and it was used in the film Total Recall for the security guards.
Oh yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So they goes on their arms, and I think I've got the right version. It's that
cool.
calculator. But because obviously a lot of my sort of links, I make all the bits and pieces from scratch.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to do something where I've got this, like almost like they did in the movie where they sourced it. Why'd they put like it looked cool, but I didn't recognize at the time. It's a lot later when I saw some making ofs and some that they identified this calculator, and then it was like it's almost over a year now. I was just going through and said, I recognize that, and I checked and it was the same one. It doesn't work, but it'll be fine for a prop. And so cool. I've got that character, and I wanted to do that, but I wanted to do the security guard with the head. So I was going to walk around with the 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's God. So that was the idea for that one. And yeah, like I said, I do so because it's a bit of a weird one, I think. But yeah, I mean, that was my idea, to have like this girl as a security guard, the silly security guard who's decided to pick up the head.
That's so cool.
Yeah. There is a guy that I saw that did
I think I've seen that too. Yeah, he did the thing.
Yeah.
I think now I remember you did mention the Wraith to me. I can't wait to see that, and we'll definitely promote that one. Zach and I love that movie. That was the first $2 late fee movie I think we did, crossover one, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was a great movie, great soundtrack.
The car was amazing. I mean, that was the thing. We saw the car, and like I said, I was lucky. Like there was like I think I don't know if it's the person who collected the car, but somebody put out some really detailed screenshots of like pictures of the actual suit. So I've got some really good references.
Well, I think the car is at the Auto Museum in LA, right, Zach?
It was not anymore, but it was a part of their like totally 80s down the Peterson Car Museum down here. Someone has the original Interceptor, the Dodge Interceptor shell.
Man.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think so.
Chris, that's I want to see it. I can't wait to see it, even if it's 2 years from now. I can't. But
there are others. Like I said, that will maybe come before that. Like I said, it's really so. I got so many ideas. Like sometimes, I mean, I like with like I said, with a lot of costumes, like you think you've got everything planned, but then something, like it could be anything silly, like paintwork. Like now, it's just impossible. Like it's probably the first day that we've had like some sunshine,
right?
And I have to paint outside. And you wouldn't believe like how sometimes that affects
wetness and humidity will affect
whole
it.
Build.
The
whole build. But that one is, like I said, that is later. It's something I want to do because, again, like I said, the movie's classic and the car's really iconic. I just love the silhouette of that character.
Yeah,
like it was.
Another awesome armor.
Totally.
It is. But that's what makes the character. The character, like I think now it is about the like I said, a lot of people mention the silhouette of the character. Mm-hmm. It's that shape that stays in your mind, right? So
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go to, I think it'll be a 2-hour show.
It's okay. It's okay, man. We'll have you back on, buddy. We'll maybe when the Wraith one comes out, we'll have it back on or
Yeah,
whatever. But
for
or have
sure.
you on an episode 80s Kids Unite or something, and we'll figure it out, man. Because we usually record around noonish or so. So we'll dude, you'll be back for sure. Chris, this was amazing. Everybody, check out his Instagram. Check out any other social medias he has and everything. Check out his costumes. Give him a follow. He's a really nice guy. Easy to talk to on Instagram. And thanks, man. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, that's cool.
Thanks,
All right.
Chris.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Podcasting After Dark's exclusive interview series with Christopher Adam. And, as always, thank you for your support.